The federal government is the largest buyer in the world, and how we compete requirements. It shapes markets, drives prices, influences innovation, and can impact entire sectors of the U.S. economy. Competition improves pricing, forces industry to sharpen performance, and encourages new entrants. Competition is the reason why Queen's "We Are the Champions" is such a good song. When competition deteriorates, markets calcify, taxpayers pay more. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible for America and capitalism. Welcome to the RFO in 5 minutes. This time we explore Part 6. You'll understand the basics faster than the time it takes to write a J&A for unusual and compelling urgency, which unusually sometimes takes way longer than it should. The very first question with Part 6 is, do I even need to follow Part 6? Part 6 does not apply to every acquisition. And the last thing you want to do is start writing a detailed J&A when you never had to write one in the first place. Ever seen that happen? FAR 6.001 carves out key exclusions. If you're using simplified acquisition procedures under Part 13, you're not in Part 6. If you're using the simplified procedures under the new Part 12 for acquisitions under $9 million for commercial, you're not in Part 6. Ordering off of IDIQs or other multiple award contracts under Part 16, not Part 6. That's fair opportunity. Ordering off of GSA Federal Supply Schedules, you're not in Part 6. That's Part 8. Ordering food at McDonald's? I don't know what that is, but it's not Part 6. And when you're ordering off existing contracts and supply schedules, the competition has already been done to some extent. So what you're doing now is providing fair opportunity to the already competed pool of contractors in that multiple award contract. Hence, no Part 6. The takeaway is simple. Don't just reflexively jump into Part 6 analysis. Find out where you are in the FAR. Okay, let's say that we are over the SAT and we're using either maybe Part 14 or Part 15. Now we need to comply with Part 6. Now, Part 6 is organized around 3 methods of competition, and that's all under Subpart 6.1, the pre-solicitation section. First, we have full and open competition. That's 6.101. That's the default. The government must obtain full and open competition using competitive procedures. That basically means for sealed bidding under Part 14 or competitive negotiation under Part 15. Now note that 6.101B is basically the litmus test for whether sealed bidding makes sense, and you can probably see why Part 14 sealed bids are rarely used. With complex service requirements these days, those factors just don't line up often. We usually need to consider factors other than price. We usually need discussions. We usually need to negotiate. Also, the worse you are at solid requirement definition, the less you should be doing a clear-cut process like sealed bidding under 14. So don't get offended, Part 14. It's not you, it's us. Second is full and open competition after exclusion sources. That's 6.102. This allows you to compete, but limit who can participate. No separate J&A is required. This includes small business set-asides, or establishing or maintaining alternative sources, or local firm set-asides during emergencies. Think of it like this. You're still going to hold the race, the competition. You're just deciding who gets to line up at the starting line. A common example is excluding an incumbent to maintain an alternative supplier base. That's the federal version of a professor saying, anyone else want to answer? Anybody? Anybody other than Tiffany? It's not anti-Tiffany. It's pro, we just like a backup plan. Someone other than the teacher's pet. But by far the most common of the 3 methods here is the small business set-asides, limiting the pool to small businesses exclusively. See Part 19 for more details on that. Third is other than full and open competition, 6.103, what most people think of as sole source. And it's the exception, not the strategy. It cannot be justified because of a lack of planning or concerns about funding levels. Those are explicitly prohibited reasons. You can't cite lack of planning, which is a shame because that would cover about half of Q4. There are 7 authorized reasons for you going sole source. One is only one responsible source, and then unusual and compelling urgency, industrial mobilization or essential research or expert services, international agreements, authorized or required by statute, national security, and public interest. For most of these, a justification and approval is required. That's under 6.104. A strong J&A explains why limiting competition is the most responsible and mission-critical approach under the circumstances. At a minimum, it identifies the agency in action, describes the requirement and value, cites the authority, explains why the contractor is uniquely qualified, summarizes market research, documents efforts to solicit as many sources as possible, determines price reasonableness, lists interested sources, explains barriers to competition, and includes the contracting officer's certification. In other words, the FAR spells out pretty clearly how you write a J&A. You can get the whole list right here, and the companion guide also provides guidance. The competition advocate in 6.003 plays a quiet and powerful role. They promote full and open competition. They promote commercial acquisition, challenge barriers, and report annually to senior leadership on competition. Think of the competition advocate as your acquisition conscience, the little angel on your shoulder whispering, compete, compete. While the deadline devil yells, just sole source it, sole source. Now, here's the real world part. In theory, we always want to plan ahead and compete. In practice, requirements arrive late, urgency is thrown around all the time. Someone suggests just use company X. You know what company I'm talking about. You know. The dirty, greedy company that always gets the award. All right, I'll say it. But the FAR was written precisely to resist that kind of reflex. The long-term deterioration of competition harms not just a program, it harms the industrial base of our country and the broader economy, the American economy. The good news is speed and competition are not at odds. You can move fast and still compete, especially using multiple award vehicles, on-ramps, commercial procedures, or well-structured fair opportunity competitions, and even using Part 6. The Practitioner Guide to the new RFO Part 6 even offers some practical tips. The question shouldn't be, how do I sole source this? It should be, how do I compete this now? And how do I structure it so next time I can compete this even more? Part 6 ultimately is about protecting the system that makes the mission sustainable. Compete when you can, justify carefully when you can't, and plan so you don't find yourself explaining why a lack of planning somehow became your acquisition strategy. Because the FAR has already thought of that excuse. Join us next time as we delve into more FAR parts and keep the competition alive.